Hello everyone. Today we will discuss the approaches and implementations of password cracking and encryption. The members of our group are Ana Marines, Humberto Franier, Patricia Secas, and Alberto Martinez. The purpose of this research focuses on the different approaches and implementations used to encrypt and crack passwords. We will present the evolution of password cracking, detailed security strengths. Even though a password can be strong, it can still be compromised, but it can increase the computation time needed to crack them using any attack method. We will describe password cracking in detail and the encryption methods. We would also provide a demonstration at the end. In this modern age, it is important that systems apply strong security practices and methods in order to prevent corruption, breach, and loss of important information. One of the best defenses and practices for defending yourself from intruders is to use a strong and secure password for authentication purposes. A password that is easy to remember makes the password itself easier to crack. In a basic password authentication scheme, a user's password is encrypted or hashed and usually stored in a file within the system. Encryption is the process of using algorithms to transfer information to make it unreadable for unauthorized users. Hashing is used to scramble a password by generating a value from a string of text using a mathematical function. Both of these methods provide an added layer of security for authentication. Now, the main problem these days is that attackers have the skills and knowledge to bypass security layers added onto a password. The main method used to find this password is known as password cracking. Password cracking is the process of recovering the original password from the ciphertext or the hash value from by a cracker. Password cracking consists of tools that are able to decrypt or decipher that encrypted password. Now we will discuss these approaches in more detail and provide a quick demonstration in the end using an application called John the Ripper from Kali Linux.
Now we're going to continue with the evolution of password cracking. I would like to point out several important events about how password cracking evolved through the years. In 1961, MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, creates the first computer password so that multiple people can use a shared computer system at the same time. Each user needed an individual password to access the system, and usage time was tracked. CTSS, which is the compatible time sharing system, was designed to accommodate multiple users at once with the same core processor powering separate consoles. All the passwords were stored in the system. In 1962, Alan Schroeder admitted to commit the first ever password compromise as a doctoral student to increase the computer time available for his own jobs. In 1968, Multics, the operating system, brought the first commercial distribution of a secure time-sharing operating system. By the year of 1974, designers determined that passwords were surprisingly easy to guess. From 1972 to 1974, the Air Force Tiger team performed a security assessment of Multics and successfully breached the system. The findings prompted developers and administrators to establish new rules and stronger methods for password protection. In 1979, based on the Multics experience, Morris and Thompson improved password hashing and introduced per-user salts during the development of Unix. They also cracked over 80% of accounts in the first published dictionary attack, warning the user chosen passwords were a major vulnerability. In 1981, a password cracker club known as the Computer Freaks was created. In 1988, password insecurity gained widespread noted with the launch of the infamous Morris worm, which guessed passwords on every reachable host using a 431-word dictionary. In the 90s till today, the publicity surrounding the worm and the onset of the World Wide Web during this time motivated a surge of research into replacing and improving passwords for remote user computer authentication. New proposals for improvements in password security have been brought up since then. Now we're going to talk about the password security strengths. Passwords are the most common phase security we have control over. They are the beginning and the end of our online life, yet people don't pay much attention to them. Passwords are the line of defense to keep outsiders from accessing private information and sensitive data. Therefore, it is important to have a collection of passwords that they are very strong or paraphrases based on a personal or organizational policy requirement. Unfortunately, we have black hat hackers motivated by some of the following factors. It could be curiosity, maybe they love the puzzle, the challenges, and maybe they feel revenge for any situation, financial gain, fame and recognition, patriotism, or politics. Reason why it is important to take into consideration what strong password security consists of when selecting them. Password security considerations. Password length and complexity. Let's start with length. Short length passwords are easy to break. Then the idea is to create lengthier ones to add security and to make them less predictable. In 2010, Richard Boyd from Georgia Tech Research Institute said that 8-character passwords are insufficient now. And if you restrict your character to only alphabetic, that password can be cracked almost immediately. All passwords should be 12 characters or more in order to make them safer. Complexity. Strong passwords are always key. Security experts agree that a combination of uppercase and lowercase alphanumerical characters are good practices for increasing password strength and make it capable of resisting guessing and brute force attacks. In order to add complexity without compromising ease of use, users could modify paraphrases by inserting spaces, punctuation, and misspellings. Password storage. We find plain text passwords. This is the simplest way of storing a password. The password in plain text, along with its corresponding account, is stored in a database or a file. This is less secure and the worst form of storing passwords, because if the database is hacked into and the passwords are stored in human-readable form, then all the passwords are immediately compromised, with the hacker spending literally no extra effort. We're going to continue with encrypted passwords. The passwords are stored in a database in encrypted form. Encryption uses a special key to convert passwords into a random string of text. The advantage of this method is that without a key, the hacker cannot obtain the password. The disadvantage is that the key is often stored in the same location as the passwords. Therefore, if the database is found and hacked, the key is retrieved, and then all the passwords can be decrypted and compromised. Hash passwords. Hashing was a groundbreaking method to protect passwords through removing the capability to reverse the encryption. Hashing is a function that will convert the password into a random long string of letters and numbers. in a non-readable form. The advantage of hashes over encryption is that the hashes are irreversible. Once the password is hashed, there is no algorithm to convert it back to the original password. In order to crack the password, the hacker will have to hash a number of combinations one by one to see which hash matches with the one stored in the database or file. One way to perform this is using rainbow tables, which calculates very fast. Hackers can perform a brute force attack with the generated combination being hashed and matched with the hash retrieved from the database or file. Among the hashes algorithms, we find MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, and SHA-512. Last but not least, salted hashes. The process of having salted passwords is simple to make hashes more secure. Salt is a string that is unique amount of characters added to the password before it is run through a hashing function. The string could be a prefix or postfix to the password before hashing it. Every password has different salt. The same password used for cracking a hash password can be performed when salt is applied, meaning rainbow tables or brute force. However, salted passwords are long, complex, and unique, making the passwords very complicated to be cracked. And now we're going to continue with password cracking attacks presented by Ana Maria.
Thank you, Patricia. Password cracking is still a popular method that hackers employ to break into user systems or online account services. Multiple techniques exist for password cracking, and malicious actors employ various technologies for the cracking to be done faster and more efficiently. On the attack spectrum, many of the techniques that existed 15 years ago are still in use. However, what's changed is how rapidly the cracking happens now using high processing computers and programmable hardware, such as FPGA, or leveraging GPUs for cracking. We're going to explore popular password cracking methods as well as more advanced approaches. First, let's cover dictionary attacks. This attack consists of breaking password by utilizing words found in dictionaries. Since users often employ existing known words as their passwords, malicious actors often take advantage of that fact and use dictionary words as the input value during dictionary attacks. These dictionaries can also consist of clear text lists of compromised cracked passwords that can be common among the general population. Dictionary attacks have a high probability of success in the real world. A study done by Fei Yun and Yulei Huan found that 29% of passwords on the PHP BB dictionary list and 1% of the Roku.com list that happened for these website breaches could be found in an extended English dictionary. Next is brute force attacks. A more robust approach, a brute force attack will try all possible combinations of a password until the correct one is found. This approach theoretically will always be effective. However, the attack time is highly unpredictable and sometimes will render the attack futile. Depending on the password length and complexity, an average personal computer processor will take hours or years to break a password. Another attack is rainbow tables attack. These are databases containing pre-computed hashes and their clear text values. If a hacker contains the hash of the value it wants to crack, it will only have to check against the rainbow table to find if there's an existing hash and what the clear text of the hash is. If found, the attack is successful and hacker contains the plain text value of the user's hash password. Rainbow tables' probability of success increase if multiple rainbow tables are used in one attack. However, this method can be easily defeated by using salts. In password spraying attack, a hacker will take a large number of usernames and loop them with one single password. Hackers will usually iterate multiple users through the authentication method and use only one or two password variations for each user, in the hopes to increase the probability that a password will match at least one user. The main benefit of this technique is that it can lower or remove the account lockout chances when doing online cracking. Next is password guessing. As the name suggests, hackers often employ password guessing to crack users' passwords. Common password combinations such as password 1, QWERTY, administrator are good guesses hackers employ when using this technique. New techniques are emerging to increase the chances of a successful password cracking attack. These include different approaches for existing methods as well as using more powerful hardware. A method called PCFG uses probabilities in which a training set of revealed passwords is used to define a probabilistic context-free grammar. The grammar will then be used to create password guesses for the attack. Similarly, the PPC approach uses dictionaries as the source of the words used to replace the alpha strings on the created grammar. Alpha strings are just common alphabetic characters which are most eminent in the dictionary. MPC approach uses keyword patterns to alpha string patterns of dictionaries to create a context-free grammar. On the hardware side, a lot of password crackers utilize GPU nodes instead of CPUs for brute force password recovery. This is because GPUs have more cores than a normal CPU, and they excel in extreme parallelism when the same identical instructions need to be processed. Another advanced method proposed by Joginder S. Dandas consists of using FPGAs, or field programmable gate arrays, which are integrated circuits that can be programmed after being manufactured to perform specific functionalities. In this case, they are used to speed up the generation of password-derived encryption keys during dictionary attacks of encrypted files. Now we'll cover encryption. Encryption is the most reliable and efficient method to protect passwords from being cracked. Encryption consists of turning plain text value into a ciphertext, which are just strings of scrambled characters with no meaning at all. Alternatively to encryption, in most systems, passwords are stored in hashes, which, as explained earlier by Patricia, are one-way function methods that transform a value into a string of fixed-length key that represent a clear text value. The most common hashing algorithms for passwords include the message digest, secure hash algorithms, LM, and NCLM versions 1 and 2 for Windows systems. Another method used for password encryption is the honey encryption. This method is used to prevent guessing attacks, like password guessing. Honey encryption generates a ciphertext, so when an attacker tries to decrypt it with an incorrect key, it will create a fake but valid-looking password to confuse and mislead attackers into figuring out if the decryption has been successful or not. Also, honey encryption encrypts a password or message with a weak passphrase. This gives more confusion to attackers that even have a vast amount of computing processing power to doubt if they decrypted the password successfully. Next, Humberto is going to demonstrate how to crack passwords.
Thank you, Anita. Password cracking demonstration. John the Ripper is a free and open source password cracking tool. It is one of the most popular password testing and breaking programs as it combines a number of password crackers into one package. It auto-detects password hash types and includes a customizable cracker. Its primary purpose is to detect weak Unix passwords, though it supports hashes from many other platforms as well. Windows users' records are stored in SAM, or the Security Accounts Manager database, or in the Active Directory database. Windows passwords are either LAN Manager or NT LAN Manager hashes. In the following video, we're going to demonstrate how using John the Ripper and particular brute force attack, we're able to crack a SAN fast.
Thank you, Humberto, for that demonstration. Now, to conclude, we reviewed the history of password cracking by introducing where it was first developed and the main reasons why attackers use password cracking till this day. Due to these attacks, we demonstrated why it is important to create a complex password and the different types of attacks that can be performed on them. We also reviewed the methods of encryption and described how encryption works. In this section, we reviewed all the different methods of securing a password in order to prevent the password attacks described earlier. Lastly, we provided a quick demonstration of password cracking using an application in Kali Linux called John the Ripper. With this software, we were able to decrypt hashes from a hash.txt file. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.